Hey everybody, this is Zach Kyle, and this is episode number 6 of the Speed for Your Mind podcast. Today on the show we have Adam Thackeray. He is a strength and conditioning specialist at Washington State University. He trains baseball, women's soccer, and some of the track athletes. Adam, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, going into my second year here at Washington State. Like you said, I've got those sports there. Been here since last August. Before this, spent 4 years at Miami, Ohio. As an assistant there, training a lot of teams. I spent a little bit of time at the University of Indianapolis under Steve Barrick, and then I got my master's from Indiana before that. Did track in undergrad at the University of Indianapolis. I was a thrower there. So been around the Midwest the whole time, and been out here now a little over a year and loving it.
Right. Well, let me give everybody a little backstory on, how I met you, right? I met Adam probably almost five years ago now, eh? Yeah.
Yep.
About 5 years ago, he worked for Paul Harker,
Yep.
who was the director of strength and conditioning at Miami. But I'll say that, for the viewers that are watching, I've learned a hell of a lot, just talking to them about this and that. And if you haven't yet, make sure you reach out to them. All of our strength coaches like the podcast. The people that are on the podcast, we're gonna make sure that we can put their emails and everything out. So I've talked to you numerous times. So I'm sure that Adam would not mind if people reached out to him.
Oh, I love talking to people. I'll help you guys out any way that I can.
Yeah, for sure. So let me. So I'll ask you a first question. So we're gonna mainly talk about baseball today, and so my first question is how do you differentiate, your training between your pitchers and your position players?
All right, so when all of our athletes get here, we just finished, this morning actually was the end of our first week. So we're going right into individuals and fall ball. So right now, I basically have a 6-week plan that we're all going to be together. Pitchers and position players are going to be together. And we're learning how to move. We're learning the basics of everything. Even my seniors, we're relearning the squat pattern. We're making sure that we know how to hinge. We're making sure we know how to lunge. We're reteaching pull-ups. We're reteaching push-ups. I'm assuming that they haven't done anything over the summer, so I am bringing them along all together as an entire team. Our freshmen are going to be separate, but we're going to try to get them integrated by week 3. And they're going at an even more basic level. All right, so we lift every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then our team scrimmages on the weekends. So our pitchers, if they need to make an adjustment because of a bullpen or a heavy throwing day, which will be Friday or Saturday, we can. But right now we've got that schedule, so their bullpens are built around our lifting. Coach is very, very big on our lifting and when we lift, and they will modify a bullpen right now before they're going to modify a lift. So we can keep everybody together until the end of fall ball, and then we're going to go to a 4-day upper-lower split with speed work or conditioning involved in that. Our pitchers will do separate conditioning. They'll do separate individual work as well. So our pitching coach here is very, very involved in what we do. He's very on board, but he makes it great. It's like having another assistant. All right, so when we go to do our conditioning, he is going to take the pitchers. They're doing all their med ball work, all their rotational work, and he gets after them. He's got a full set of kettlebells. He's got all his med balls, everything out there at the field. So he's able to take his pitchers and do their position-specific stuff, and I'm going to be able to do a lot of the speed work, speed development with our base runners. From a lifting standpoint, we try to keep things very, very similar. I want the team working as a team, especially in the off season. That is big for us. Having 35 guys, it is a great atmosphere when guys really get going, and we get a good loud environment in there. Guys are getting after it, but we do need to make some modifications based on injury history and their throwing volume. Our upper body work, we will mainly do dumbbell bench, dumbbell alternating stuff as our primary presses. But as far as our lower body work, it is the same. We're going to squat, we're going to deadlift, we're going to clean pull, we're going to lunge, and all that's going to be the same. And we do hold a front squat and a back squat with our pitchers, but our upper body press work is going to be a little bit different. We still hammer them with our barbell rows, our dumbbell rows, machine rows, things like that. Once we go in season, that's where things really, really start to change. Our position guys, it is very, very easy to get them on we get them in for 2 days a week for sure. Our guys that aren't playing are getting a little bit more. And we'll usually lift every Monday, Wednesday in season. Our pitchers, we've got a day 1 and a day 2. Day 1 is always done within 24 hours of their biggest throwing event. Most of our guys, that's going to be your start or a long relief. Some of our developmental guys, that's going to be a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday bullpen session with the coach. So they have to get with me within 24 hours of that. Usually we go the next morning after a game. And then they have to come back in 48 hours after that to get day 2. So from there, it gets pretty hectic from a scheduling standpoint. Once in season hits, I've pretty much got pitchers in random times throughout the day every day. And it's small groups. And we do a lot of individual modifications there. We'll obviously program a press. We're going to program a pull. We're going to program our lower body. We're going to program all of our hinge work and our conditioning. But my 5th-year senior that just went 100-some pitches the night before is going to have a lot different than my 18-year-old mid-relief kid that came in for 30. So from there, I will kind of, having only 2 guys in at a time, I'm going to be able to individualize that and get the most bang for my buck. We're going to be able to press a younger kid a little bit heavier, push them a little bit harder. If we're sitting on 70, 80 innings a year, I'm going to be able to kind of modify what that press is. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you get to travel with the teams?
Certain times. So with soccer and track being in the spring as well, I go on our longer road trips where we're going to get a majority of our lifts in. Our first 2-3 weeks are spent on the road. We're not blessed with the best weather up here, so we spend some time. We're going down to Arizona and Alabama this year, and we're going to be gone for a while, so I'll go down there. Last year we ended up getting 14 lifts in during that time, plus extra work from there. Our pitching coach will take our guys, our pitchers, the next morning into either they usually just get fitness memberships at a local gym, or if it's a school that we kind of exchange with, they'll let us go in. We had 5 or 6 different Pac-12 teams in here training in our weight room this past spring, so we'll travel to those schools this year, and we'll kind of work with them and get a time where our guys can go in, and our coach and athletic trainer are going to be there as well.
Yeah, I think so. When you're on the road or when you're working with the kids, even when they're at, like let's say, they got a doubleheader during the weekend, and you got a lot of guys, especially your pitchers. Like you talked about your pitchers, you're working with a pitching coach in terms of what they're going to do recovery wise and stuff like that. But what do you do recovery wise for the position players and stuff like that? I think recovery is, I don't want to say. Everybody says that we need recovery, we need this, we need that, but I think that sometimes they say it and that there's not a lot of in-depth thought behind what's being done. Right? So what do you do?
My biggest recovery, getting under a bar and squatting, getting under a bar, bending your knees, bending your hips, making sure things are moving the right way, getting a little bit of stress out of you. We're still going to stride the guys out. We're going to let them kind of get their heart rate up, get the blood flowing. We're going to do some med ball work. We're going to do some kettlebell swings. It's going to be a somewhat metabolic day for a little bit to kind of get them moving. We're going to stretch. We're going to foam roll. They've got the ice tanks that they can get in. We've got the Pure Wave massagers. We've got the Normatec boots that they can wear, and they're going to do all that. But we're also going to lift on our recovery coming back from a game. We're gonna squat. We're going to get our heavy hinges in. We're going to get moving. We like to kind of bunch everything together, our most stressful events, closer together, hopefully within 24 hours, and then that gives them more recovery time, which kind of goes into our ice tanks, the hot tubs, the contrast, Normatecs, and things like that.
Right. So when you're talking with the coaches and sport coaches, right? We've worked with an awful lot. How involved are your coaches? You said they love the weight room. You said they love all that kind of stuff, and being a part of what you're doing. What are the conversations like, the communication like with what you're doing?
The great thing is the coaching staff that I got here right now is completely hands off as far as telling me what they want to see. That conversation with what they wanted really ended after the first day. It was like, "You gonna squat them heavy?" And I said, "Yep." They smiled. They want their guys lifting. They understand the importance of the weight room, but they also understand the mental aspect of what we do. They are in the weight room with us. They have never once second guessed anything that I've done. If I told them I wanted to go 4 days a week in season, I'm pretty sure we could get that done. I'm not going to, but
Right.
They are on board. They trust what I do. Our meeting that we had before we started the season this year, he brought the whole staff in. It's like, "Tell us what you want to do." I kind of laid out my plan for them. They gave me the nod, and that was it.
Right.
They're very, very on board, and that makes my job so much easier.
Absolutely.
I've been with other baseball staffs that have made my life pretty difficult, which is fine. It was a good challenge. But these guys, they're very bought into what I do. They've seen the results after 1 year, and it's made my job so much easier.
Yeah. So touching on another subject, when it comes to programming and stuff like that.
Yes.
You and I both know, obviously, with baseball, it's such a rotational sport, right? You're
Yes.
always rotating at the torso, and how do you develop, what you do for your core development for baseball?
Yeah. So in the weight room, we've got 14,000 square feet. So we've got a lot of room to do med ball work, but a majority of our med ball work we do at the field pre-practice. So I've got about an hour 15 in the mornings with them, and then we practice in the afternoons. When we go out there, we'll get the med balls out. We'll do our side throws, our slams, our rotational slams, our partner throws. We'll go from a kneeling, half kneeling, standing, and we'll do all the different med ball tosses. We've got about 30 med balls out there, anywhere from about 5 to 30 pounds.
Okay.
So we've got it is great. It's very, very easy to get all that work done, and we have the entire field to do it. So we'll do a lot there. In the weight room, the biggest rotational stuff that we really work on is our landmine work. So we'll do a lot of different landmine rotations, a lot of different like twist and press with the landmines. But a majority of it is done out on the field with the med balls. One thing we did just get in the last week, we got a bunch of the Kaiser performance trainers installed, and our coaches are really excited about that. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to start programming those a lot more. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to be able to kind of integrate those in. But I would assume that we're going to start using that for a little bit more rotational power. We've got the belts that are going to go with that. So we're going to be able to do kind of some good plyometric movements, as well as twisting movements, chopping, things like that.
For sure. So if this is the last question. I know you and I talked, and I know you got things to do. But if you give one piece of advice, for someone that is having trouble or is thinking about, or is wondering how to program for that sport, for baseball, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
Get as many different inputs as you can. When I first started in baseball, and kind of looking at stuff quite a while ago, there's a lot of stuff online. There's a lot of stuff online, and a lot of people will tell you it's got to be done this way. You've got to do bands, or you've got to do cleans, or you've got to do. There are so many different coaches out there that have so many different situations. It's really, really hard to apply. You would be very surprised at how many people you could reach out to, and they're actually going to give you their information. If one of you guys were to email me, call me, text me, say, "Hey, what do you guys do?" I'll send you my program. I don't care. And a lot of the other coaches here that I've talked to, once I got out here to Washington State, kind of start traveling with the teams coming in, we all kind of do something a little bit different, but it fits our situation perfectly. You're always going to deal with a head coach that wants something different. You're also going to deal with a team that's ready for something a little bit different. So reach out to as many people as you can. In a team setting, my program is different than it would be if I worked in a private facility and I'm training two to three major leaguers. Okay, I'm dealing with 35 kids right now, and I've got an hour, and they come on all together. So my programming is a lot different. That might be perfectly to your situation. But again, you might get somebody that's training 5 or 10 guys at a time. Or there was one year, I kid you not, 6 years ago, I had 52 baseball guys that started the season. So I mean, the things I had to do then are a lot different now, and even this year compared to last August, it is completely different. So reach out to everybody that you can. Every situation will be different, and you're going to find coaches that do a lot of different things.
Well, that's great advice. So, well, I appreciate your time, man.
No problem.
Thanks for coming on the show, and if you haven't, make sure you reach out to Coach Thackeray, and I'm sure like I said, he will be 100% open to answer all your guys' questions, anything you guys got for him. So, thanks a lot, brother.
Hey, thank you.